Well, there's nothing like what's going on right now. There's never been anything to this extent where we have people, we don't know who they are. There's no uniforms involved. It's war. It's absolute war, but we don't have uniforms. We don't know who it is. We don't know where they're coming from. But we have a pretty good idea, and as a country, we don't do anything about it. And we better get smart, or it's only going to get worse.
Mr. Trump, you the President of the United States to resign because we're going to play his soundbite. Here's what he had to say yesterday about the attack.
Is therefore a further reminder of how easy it is for someone to get their hands on a weapon that lets them shoot people in a school or in a house of worship or a movie theater or in a nightclub. And we have to decide if that's the kind of country we want to be.
So, Mr. Trump, the president called for more gun controls. He also said it was terror, and he said it was a hate crime, but he did not say it was Islamic terrorism. And for that reason, you say he should quit.
He doesn't get it, or he gets it better than anybody understands. It's one or the other, and either one is unacceptable, number one. And number two, calling on another gun ban. I mean, this man has no clue. First of all, the shooter was licensed, so he went through all the procedures. He was fully licensed to have a gun, so he would have passed the test that the president would have thrown up there. It's so ridiculous. This is a mentality. This is a state, and you have thousands of shooters like this with the same mentality out there in this country, and we're bringing thousands and thousands of them back into this country and into the country every year. We're allowing them to come into the country.
You mean refugees?
I'm talking about people coming in from Syria where we have no idea who they are. We have no idea as to paperwork, as to where they came from. This could be the all-time great Trojan horse. This could be, the legend of the Trojan horse. This could actually be it. I used to say it with a smile. I used to say maybe, is it possible at the very early stages? And the more and more, thinking, of course, a thing like that could never happen. I'm starting to think it could happen because our politicians are so inept and so incapable, and our leadership, especially at the top, is just, they don't know what they're doing. And we're allowing people to come into our country that are no different than this maniac, which I don't know how many people are going to end up dying from this, but no different than this maniac that just did this to us yesterday.
So, Mr. Trump, you say that the president should resign, and you say Hillary Clinton, if she can't say it, she should just bow out of the race?
She's a weak person. She's weak on so many different levels. I just see where the Secret Service agent said she should never be president. He called her almost like a maniac. She is not the right person, especially in these times. These are times where you need solidity, where you need you need smart. Right. You have to have smart, but you need something so much different than her. She's just following his exact line. She won't utter the words either radical Islam. She won't even utter the words. He won't utter the words. Unless you know the words and unless you know what's going on, you're never going to solve the problem.
Brian?
So, Donald Trump, this is Brian Kilmeade. And by the way, we just watched a Tahoe pull up with flashing lights. That could be the FBI coming right down the block. And we'll see. And then they'll walk over to my left. So I'll interrupt myself and tell you to go to the press conference live. But yesterday, we understand, Donald Trump, the imam from the Islamic Center of Fort Pierce said where Mateen spent some of his time, the would-be killer. He said there are a lot of positive effects from a potential Donald Trump presidency. The imam said he didn't think Trump would be as scary for Muslims as people think. What's your reaction to that?
I think he's right. I know Muslims, and I think I've been given a bad rap. But I did call for a ban. We can't let people from Syria in, and I'm all for helping with safe zones in Syria and building and, where people can live. We can't have it in our country, Brian. Something's going on, whether it's in the religion, whether it's outside of the religion. It's not maybe for us to know right now, but we can't allow thousands, and I don't mean thousands, tens of thousands of people are pouring into our country, and many of them are no different than this guy yesterday who created this horrible act.
Well, Donald, let me ask you follow up with that. If you think that they're trying to hit soft targets, they're not trying to take on our military, they can't and survive. So if they're going to hit soft targets, what's your message to the American people about going to clubs, about going to the beaches, about going to these major events, to Disney down the road? Where does Donald Trump find the balance?
Well, you go, and you don't let them disrupt you. You just have to go, and you have to be brave. But we have to be very strong with our military, with our security. We have to be extremely strong. We have to be very strong in terms of looking at the mosques, which a lot of people say, oh, we don't want to do that, we don't want to do that. We're beyond that. Brian, that man yesterday was sick with hate. You have many, many people, thousands of people already in our country that are sick with hate. And people that are around him, Muslims, know who they are, largely. They know who they are. They have to turn them in. They know who they are. They see them. Like in the case of San Bernardino, there were bombs all over the floor. Many people saw the bombs. Those bombs weren't there as play toys, and they could have been reported long before San Bernardino took effect. Nobody's reporting these people.
Now, Mr. Trump, we've traveled across the country asking people covering the primaries why you're their favorite pick, why you became the nominee, and they're all saying because you're not politically correct. You say what's on your mind. But when you talk to individuals and you ask them why wasn't this guy caught, many people said they saw the red flags. They were just scared because of political correctness to come forward and call the cops on this guy. What's your message now for America, who has been so fearful because they didn't want to be called Islamophobic?
They have to report these people. These people are out there. Many, many people are out there with worse intentions than what this guy had. Worse. And they're out there. And people in his community and their community, they know who the people are. In some cases, they're married to them. But they know who these people are. Almost in every case, they know who they are. They brag about it. They talk about it. Other people know. Yep. People knew that this guy was going to create a bad act. They have to turn him in. If they don't turn him in, we are never going to be able to get along. It's going to be an impossible situation.
Donald Trump, ISIS Radio put out a statement that this particular shooter, Omar Mateen, who the deadliest mass shooter in American history, he was a soldier of the caliphate in America. So they're saying the caliphate now extends into the United States, and we have talked a little bit about that in the past. But given the fact that they have struck us here, should there be a military response overseas?
Yes, there should. We have to really increase the bombing, but you just said something that's even more amazing. ISIS Radio. How do we allow them to have radio? Think of it. How do we allow them to have radio? Now, with radio, you know where the signals are coming from. It's not hard to find out where the signals are coming from. How do we allow them to have radio? They have a radio station where they say what they're going to be doing, and they give great praise to people that did acts like what happened yesterday. It's inconceivable that you could make a statement like that where we're talking about ISIS radio.
Sure, and a lot of this is also on the Internet. They can broadcast over the Internet, and you can't tell where it's coming from.
Right. But we ought to knock out their Internet capability. And, I've heard people, liberals, saying, oh, we can't do that. We're talking freedom of speech. How could you do that? You're stopping speech. And we're talking about ISIS. It's the most incredible thing. We have to knock out their Internet capability.
Okay, that's one thing on the list. But what about the military strike? Where would you strike overseas?
I'd strike, well, they know. We have generals, and I've been with them, and I've talked to them. We have generals that feel we can win this thing so fast and so strong, but we have to be furious for a short period of time, and we're not doing it. I said go after the oil, hit the oil. They announce when they're going to hit the oil because they want the people to leave their trucks. The whole thing is so ridiculous. Can you imagine General Patton saying, please get out of your trucks because we're going to start dropping bombs in 1 hour? This is the way we fight.
Donald Trump.
We're led by a fool.
So you're saying when you're saying after 9/11, we knew it hit Afghanistan. That's where Al-Qaeda is. After this, you're saying since it's ISIS-inspired, they're taking credit for it. Are you saying hit Raqqa right now?
Well, we're going to have to start thinking about something because we cannot continue to let this go forward. And we have to also, look, The problem is we have thousands of people right now in our country. Forget about coming in. You know, we talked the ban. And the ban, obviously, should be put in place with respect to people coming in from Syria, etc. We're talking ban. But right now you have thousands of people in this country. And, you know, you have people